Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is September 6th, and right now we're looking at the visible satellite imagery as of yesterday morning. You can see a pretty impressively intrusive marine layer across some of the Bay Area and some of the Central Coast. Southern California largely clear, but we've had some pretty erratic fires out there. We're going to look at those fires here in a moment, but we're going to also scroll through what happened yesterday. Look at some of the smoke just explode off of some of these fires, producing a little bit of pyrocumulus clouds. You can see the little white above some of that fire activity there, and you can see all the smoke that these fires were producing, pushing these off across some of the desert areas. And then we go through the overnight hours, and you can really see the hot spots here on the GOES 18 satellite imagery, just kind of marking how extreme some of that fire behavior was. And then we scroll on in towards this morning, you can still see the smoke being produced, spreading up across portions of Nevada, Utah, and Arizona as well. And some of that marine there has made its way in towards Southern California and some of the Central Coast here, but also some nice sunny areas along the immediate coastline as well to be had today. So taking a look at the fire activity out there, we had the bridge fire that is very active. Look at this, 13,600 acres in a 24-hour period. That fire just really growing quite dramatically. There's the line fire, about 6,700 acres in the last 24 hours. So those are really the two big producers as of right now. And if I zoom in, you can see the exact locations of those fires. Again, here is Los Angeles right there, and you can see the line fire. You can see Riverside right here. So strong wind potential here, especially today for portions of the coast and some inland areas, especially the higher terrain and some of the desert areas. You can see some of these gusts along the coastal regions here, 50 miles per hour. Could even be some down tree limbs out there. And this is the Los Angeles National Weather Service talking about the northwest north winds, sundowner winds gusting maybe isolated gusts to 60 miles per hour. And this is including some of the I-5 corridor here. You can see Pyramid Lake right there, 51. And this might not be getting enough attention because there is some very gusty winds across some of the Sierra Nevada as well. I'll show you that here in the weather models in a moment. There are also some red flag warnings. If you need to pause this or go click on the NOAA site, the National Weather Service, and check this out. I-5 corridor, San Gabriel Mountains, Highway 14 corridor, for example. Go ahead and read about that. Now, looking at the wind advisory that is up just off to the south and east of Tehachapi, there's Mojave right here. And, I'll show you the wind gusts here in a moment because some of these are on the North American and the HUR are showing up over 60 miles per hour. So I just want to kind of draw attention to this across the higher terrain and as we go on into the desert areas. So more on that here right now. You can see this is the 40 to 50 mile per hour gust where you see the yellow here. So watch out on the 10, the 8 out there down towards the border, 15. You could be getting some very gusty winds, which could even be exceeding 50 miles per hour in some of these areas. Now, this is Phoenix, Arizona, and again, probably not drawing quite the attention this needs across some of the desert areas, but they do mention these peak wind gusts out here with just minor impacts, but it could be maybe up towards more of moderate impacts out there. And this is Las Vegas. They do talk about Barstow, 30 to 40 miles per hour here, and the wind advisory that is in effect all the way through 4 a.m. Thursday morning for western San Bernardino County. Now, looking at the North American model, I want to point this out because look at, as we just go through this morning, we're already starting to pick up these winds across the higher terrain, but then as we go through this afternoon and evening, look at these raging winds across the higher terrain of the Sierra Nevada, down the coastal areas, peninsular range, transverse range, desert areas, and a lot of Nevada. Very gusty winds coming, and you can see it's really peak as we go through the evening hours. Look at some of these sustained winds at 80 meters off the surface of 56 knots, 57 knots. Very impressive winds out there for some areas. So heads up for that. The good news is that we go on in through Thursday, we dramatically decrease those wind speeds as we go through Thursday afternoon and Thursday night. Still pretty brisk though along some of the coastal areas. I also want to show you here the max accumulated 10-meter wind gusts here for today, and some of these are showing up, over 60, 65 miles per hour for some of these individual locations. So just keep that in the back of your mind if you're out and about traveling today. And this is a little bit of a closer look at that here, and we'll go ahead and scroll through that. And again, you can see some of these gusts up over 65 miles per hour, especially across some of the transverse range and the southern Sierra Nevada, the desert areas, peninsular range, east slopes especially, very gusty winds. And the HUR, let's take a look at what another model has to say about this. We'll scroll through and you can see, again, very good agreement with some gusts even showing up isolated areas up over 70 miles per hour. But the widespread here is going to be 40, 50, 55 miles per hour for some of the desert locations. Now, taking a look at what's going on here, we have this system that's moving through the Pacific Northwest. That one is swinging through. That's what's helping to tighten that gradient for today, but then it's going to relax a bit as we go through Thursday. Then another trough coming down and taking its place. And exact track of this low makes a big difference in what kind of precipitation amounts we could potentially see across the state of California. Kind of a chilly upper level low dropping down here as we go on into the weekend and early next week. A little bit of a reinforcement there as we go through the extended forecast. And then you can kind of see we start to build a ridge as we go through later September here. So we'll be watching that one as well, but that's way out there. No need to worry about that just yet, but just a reminder that you can be warming back up as we go through the month of September. Now, if we take a look at precipitation totals, this is the European the control run here, and this is the system moving through as we speak today, clipping Northern California, and then that upper level low drops down across the region. You see it does produce a little bit of precip, even for some of the Southern California mountains, some of the Sierra Nevada as well. Could even bring some snow to the higher terrain. More on that here in a moment. But first, let's look at the 2-meter temperature anomaly. Here we go, kind of a mixed bag out there, but cooler than where we've been for sure, in a lot of areas below normal for this time of year across much of the state. Now we scroll on in towards Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We bounce back some of these temperatures a little bit, but then we bring that next system down and look at some of these abnormally chilly temperatures here. This is surface temperatures as well. I mean, look at these. Some of these are up over 20 degrees below normal for this time of year across some of the mountains of Southern California, Sierra Nevada, Transverse Range, even some of the desert areas. Downright chilly out there, relatively speaking. And then we take a look at this. I just wanted to bring this up. Total snow 10-to-1 ratio. I'm putting this in here just for giggles. And we're going to look at this as we go on in towards the early portion of next week. And you can see some of that snowfall showing up. I was wondering if maybe you see a little tiny blurb across some of the Southern California. It didn't show up in this run. But yeah, check it out. It's going to get a little bit chilly across the higher terrain as we go on in through early next week. And here's the 6 to 10 day. Clearly that below normal signal here across much of the West Coast. There's a 6 to 10 day precipitation that does include much of the state of California. So we'll be watching for that. We'll see what these troughs will do. Stick with me here day by day and we'll break it down and make sure to keep you up to date on what is coming. And on that 6 to 10 day, they kind of do show, they have this prognostic chart here, which kind of does show that troughing. So that's why they're expecting the below normal temperatures in the September 16th through 20th time frame there. But yeah, watch out for that smoke out there. Watch out for those gusty winds. They're really going to get ripping today. There are some red flag warnings out there as well, as I mentioned, so stay tuned for that. And if you have any evacuation warnings around some of these fires, pay attention to what the authorities are saying. But otherwise, we'll break this all down again tomorrow. Click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys then.